You gotta master the one-to-one first. So now I'm literally seeing double, triple, quadruple confluence stacked up. So now I'm paying attention to a double high getting swept. So we're sweeping two daily highs right now. We're sweeping this daily high and this daily high. And then, but we're having an SMT with NASDAQ. So I'm just literally using this to see it selling off, which means it's technically more bearish. It's a heavier asset. But since I only take on the sweep of a high, and now I'm actually taking the one that did the SMT, because that swept a daily high. And then what did it do? It had a clean ass fair value gaps paired with this order block for a 1-to-1. And we have a daily high SMT. So I just kind of zoomed out and I measured from here to here is equilibrium. So from, if it's gonna possibly at least on some little shit target equilibrium and a low in equilibrium, boom, little light shit right there. Now let's do equilibrium of this whole range right here. Oh, now you're holding on even more to a low. And look, there was one low and a stacked low right here. So there was two lows right in equilibrium for double liquidity, only risking 500. Got a 1-to-1, so as soon as we made that, we are risking nothing. And yo, for some reason, I feel like with this SMT, like, why not just crash through this whole entire shit right here? It's really just enter Asia London and get out by the next Asia. So is that really even that long? That's like a day for real. And that is a fat chunk. And it is now only paying attention to daily highs and daily lows, but then paying attention to daily double highs, or maybe sometimes triple, literally double highs if you pay attention to highs that have not got swept or lows that have not gotten swept, and you stack them. And then you have an SMT divergence in another index, which is basically we're already selling off. So now you see that we swept a double high. We have an SMT that's selling off. You don't even have to risk, but you get a 1-to-1 immediately. Bro. And then you can move it to break even whenever or take more partials. You don't even gotta get this fat ass fucking rip like that, dude. Like, bro, split that up into fucking 3, bro. Get most of the position off out of 1-to-1. I fucked that up. But I was gonna take a profit here, 1-to-1, take a profit at this low, then take a profit at the next low. So let's set this up like a fucking mathematician would, all right? Like a market wizard would really set this up. This is no lie. This is seriously mastery because it's just the daily high and we just are getting the 1-to-1. That's all I ask for. But you know what? How am I gonna sit here and not act like, well, sometimes this bitch be booming like a motherfucker. This shit be booming so goddamn much. So we're gonna take half of the position off. We're gonna take half of it off no matter what. So we got no risk on the table. So let's take most of them off because it's an odd number. So 6. So now we got 2 and 3. We're gonna take half of it off at 6. We're gonna take more of it off at how much was the 1-to-1? I forgot. So let's just say so, and then let's just move these out the way. So wait, discard, and then, so 6 contracts is 285. So as long as we take out 2, so now let's hit discard again. Now let's take out 285 with the 6 contracts. Alright, then let's hit confirm. So now we have a 1-to-1 that takes all the risk off the table, and then we have 2 to 3 more contracts. So do we want to secure more contracts first, or do we want to secure more contracts later? Because we're going to have most of the position off. How about we take off even more, because if it makes more sense to take off more at first, then boom, now we have 2. We have a 1-to-1, then we have another flip on 3 contracts, which is less contracts, but about the same. So we're still, the risk management is now crazy because we already, and then we leave 2 running just to this low over here. And the crazy part is, how about you leave this 3 running to this low, and you leave these 2 running to this low, because you have an S&T in a double high getting swept. And then if it turns around, you could put your stop loss up to take all of them off right here. If you're fucking wrong, you still got a crazy risk to reward. The 1-to-1 is all you need. But then you literally fucked it up like a motherfucker. And look, we still got, who is hungry? Because look, because then we come down here and we make this triple low confluence. When you start realizing that you have 1 low, then you have 2 lows stacked up each other, then you have a total of 3 lows stacked up on top of each other. Because this, and then this low got swept, actually, it looks like. So that's a double low. Why is this a double low? I don't know if we swept that one right there. So I don't think that's a double low. Wait, no. That's not even the one that says double low. This is just a low. This is a daily low right here. The double low is all the way, oh no, that's the double low. You got confused because the double low is on the bottom of the line, not the top. So how is this a triple low? How is this a double low in the first place? Do we actually have 2 lows that did not get taken out? Well, we have 1 low right here that never got taken out. And then, oh yeah, look, it just looks like it did not take out that low. Look at that. There is nothing that says this low right here got taken out. So if that low didn't get taken out, then that means, well, this should be a little bit lower. But that's a daily low right here. Wait, never mind. Because that one is actually right here. That is this line right here. I didn't label it because it was so close to here. But yes, let's label it to make things clearer down here. So let's say daily low. So we have a daily low, and since that's on top of this low, that's a double low. When we have a double low, now we have a triple low with this low all the way over here. So now we have a triple low for targeting a draw in liquidity. For the, no, not for targeting a draw, for the next sweep. So then what do? We sweep that triple low right here. We take out all the triple lows at once. And honestly, it might be a quadruple low, because look, we got this low right here that I'm not even calculating into this double low. So this is a double low, triple low now. So this is really a triple low. So this is really a quadruple low. And it's just like, shit like this, you can actually pay attention to, because you just mark out the lows that have not gotten swept on a daily, and then you see how many lows, and then you're like, no lows have gotten swept one day. No low gets taken out. See, this low never got taken out. This low never got taken out. We've been taking out highs, so we've been taking out shorts into these lows. Now that we take out this double low, though, it's like that's a double, triple, quadruple low. So now that we take out a quadruple low, do we get a quadruple reversal up in this bitch? Look, so this is the entry, right? We just took out a quadruple low. You take a 1-to-1 right there. But look how much was actually provided. Don't tell me, a 4.62. A 4.62. So why not just target a high in equilibrium of this range, so you actually have something to target? Fibonacci, maybe even. So look, the nearest high in this low is right over this equilibrium is technically right here. So that is a 3.45, which is a good risk to reward. And it's high probability. You know you're going to get the 1-to-1. So you get the 1-to-1. And you let that bitch rock out. And then that bitch doesn't even crash necessarily. It just puts in 1, 2, 3, a triple low. Then you retrace. So first you take out the high in equilibrium. That's a safe point. Yes, you could have made more. But you made a 1-to-1 and you're taking out. You know that this is going to hit harder. Because it's sweeping a quadruple low, yo. We were just looking at an SMT double low, talking about Buffalo shorts. Now we're talking right back to Bill. Bill gets another fucking bill at equilibrium, does he not? I mean, this came all the way up here, yo. So we could have took it to this London session, and it would have worked, literally. But we're just taking it, instead of a 4.6 to 1, we're just taking it at a high in equilibrium. So this is the high in equilibrium. We're taking the 3, and then we're waiting for another daily high to get swept. So what happens? A daily high / fair value gap. So this is a fair value gap. This is the bottom of a fair value gap. So this means that this is a daily high and a daily fair value gap. So now if you come over here, we don't even have to do the same order block theory, even though I bet it's going to be in here still. Now, let's see if we can just do some 30-minute sorcery. Alright, break a structure. This is a simple-ass move. Pull back into a fair value gap in OTE. Does a fair value gap in OTE get hit? I don't even think so, to be real. So what is it about this move that I knew I could take? Well, for one, we took out a daily high. We got a 1-to-1. I know we got a 1-to-1 here. Then after taking out the daily high, that's the regular formula. Then we take out the Asia high, which is now the highest high since it took out the daily high, making the Asia high the king. Then we take out the Asia high, and the London gives us a 1-to-1. And then this is the move that I could not find a move in the New York session though. But this is the funny part. You know that it's a huge fair value, a huge weakened open gap right here. There's no question about this gap needs to get filled. So you know we got a short release to this Asia. But then we're also coming out of a daily fair value gap. So we're sweeping a daily high, but it's actually a fair value gap because it's the previous day's high, but it's actually a fair value gap if we look at it on a higher time frame. It's a daily fair value gap, and it respects it. See how it respects it? It doesn't close past it or inverses it. It sweeps it, and then it comes all the way from a daily fair value gap now all the way down and takes out its own daily low because it's already put in a daily low. And not only does it take out that, it takes out a triple low because we have a triple low. We have a low right here, we have a low right here, and then we have a low right here. So we know we made a double low already because we made this low and this low. So once we take out this fair value gap, which is kind of looks like a fair value gap paired with a daily up close candle, which is like a fair value gap in an order block basically. But there's really, the real order block is right here. But now we introduced a fair value gap. So that's an order block paired with a fair value gap. So now we're just doing the same thing that we're doing on a smaller scale, but on a bigger scale. Because the main thing is that we swept a daily fucking high. That's all that fucking matters. Alright? But this happened to be a daily fair value gap. So that's a high and a fair value gap paired with an order block. And on top of that, we have double lows at least at the bottom. We just took out a high. And so this is actually called the triple Indian or something. When you take out a high, you get a short. You take out another high, you get a short. Now you don't got to take out another daily high because we took out a daily high already. We took out a high, and then we took out another high. So this is like a 3 Indians peak or something. We took out 3 highs. We keep on taking out highs is the point. Now we just enter at equilibrium, a fair value gap. So when do we see the structure break? Well, let's just see if we can find a 5-minute, because we know the gap and it's a Monday. We know the gap. So what do we get right here? We get a, honestly, it's not just about the order block. Look what we get right here. When we get all these, it's about the daily high, really. It's about the daily high. Now, do we pull back to fair value of this range? No, we don't. What day is this? Monday, July 27th. Monday, July 27th. Monday, July 27th. Monday, July 27th. That was not even that long ago. That was a couple days ago. I remember this. This was this last Monday, yo. But did we in NASDAQ? Because if we're watching these two charts simultaneously, and they're basically the same fucking thing, if we pull from this high to this low, then we pull to this low, now we actually meet fair value gap. No, now we actually meet equilibrium. So this is equilibrium. But then you look at this on a higher time frame now. Now this is actually the same exact move that we always look for, which is a break of structure. Even on a 5-minute, it's the same thing. A break of structure, and then a return to a order block that is in harmony with a fair value gap. So as soon as we close over this high, then we make this fair value gap. So as soon as we make this fair value gap, anywhere in this order block we can buy. As soon as that closes and this one opens, that's a fair value gap. We're already in the order block, so we could just buy. I hope I was filming that right. We're already in the order block, so we can just buy. So we got the fair value gap in the order block. It's the same exact setup. So now we are mastering what was a 1-to-1 is now a swing trading setup, where we take at least a 1-to-1 risking 500, because we just want to risk 500 every single time. That's what we're comfortable with. That gives us enough room to be at a 1-to-1 and break even every time, basically. 93.75%. Now, if you hold it for a swing, it's not going to be 93. But if you actually have reasons for why you're holding it for a swing, so you know sometimes, hey, it's just a normal swing high. Sometimes it's a triple swing high sweep, SMT, quadruple liquidity draw. And you gotta and it's a daily chart. So it's really, if you can just get comfortable understanding that, and you don't understand it for so long, but then you realize you just locked in on the basics, and you just think that you made some shit up. Like you're engineering what you see now. So now we know that we're gonna take out at the bottom of that weekly open gap. We got one more contract. Where do we want to take it off? Asia. So that way, because we know Asia is gonna get hit, so we get the 1-to-1 off the 2 contracts, taking all the risk off, and we get off at Asia. Now we get this right here to the weekly open gap. That is fat as hell. That's how you do a fucking 3-pointer, drainer. Alright? Shit like that. And it's that simple. And it's only daily high. If you can't think about all that shit, it's a 93.75% win rate for a 1-to-1 every time it sweeps a swing high. And then sweeps the high that swept the high. But if you fucking just pay attention to how everything is fractal and everything on a smaller spectrum with Fibonacci and all this, and just the order flow and the way that it moving the orders is the same thing on a major scale, you just hit sell. And guess how much more that dropped that we did not take? All of this. So you think you're doing anything, buddy? You think you know shit? You gotta know shit, buddy. You gotta know it's gonna continue. Boy, it takes out a daily low right here. Those are all the daily lows, I'm pretty sure. Like, how would you not? So, unless the only reason you keep on shorting, we took out this daily low. I mean, that's the last daily low I would really take it to the bottom of. Boom. Now you've maxed the shit out of this. Honestly, that is fire. Yo, imagine if you did imagine if you had more contracts at the end. Imagine if you, like, modify. Imagine if you did 2 contracts, each one. Now, not 1 contract. But then you move your stop loss up to break even after you get the 1-to-1. So then, you manage it. You just manage it. It doesn't matter how many contracts. Eventually, none of those stop losses are going to be there. You're going to hit every single one. It doesn't matter. And that's a days. That is talking about from... We put the stop loss. Keep this order. We swept this fair value gap right here. We put the stop loss in the low that swept the fair value gap, which is 580. And then what if you would have just said, let me hold the whole bitch down to here. Now you just did one of those, and you just moved your stop loss up to break even. No, to what is that? That's not break even, because you don't lose any money. So yeah, you move it up to break even. Now you just did some crazy ass shit. I'm not gonna lie to you. You just did some crazy ass shit. And it's because you mastered these 1-to-1 moves that I was talking about from the daily highs and daily lows in these last 3 or 4 videos. And now that you've mastered your jab, you are all of a suddenly working on your head movement. And now you're fucking shuffling with head movement and a jab. And you're just working on your jab and cross. You still haven't learned a hook. You still haven't learned an uppercut. You're just head movement now with your jab, correct form. Your hook looks amazing, or your cross looks amazing. Your jab and your cross look amazing. And you got head movement, and you're keeping your head off the line. And you're not only doing it, but you're using your legs. You're using your legs now. So it's like you just focus on the small things. No one's gonna be able to beat your ass. No real fighter is gonna fight you. And no fucking fuck nigga. I'm just kidding. Nobody who is just insecure that I'm taking their bitch is gonna be able to beat you up, no matter how big they are, unless they are a fucking Brazilian jiu-jitsu fucking master and a fucking boxing master. And I doubt it, because if they're all that shit, that's my dog. So, and what is the money gonna do? Gonna get you so rich out your goddamn mind, because that's just risking $500, bro. Making $4,000, bro. And you don't even have to make that long. You could risk more and make $4,000 faster. And or you could risk so much more on this same exact move and fuck the game up, yo. Because now you're swing trading. Now you're fucking a genius. Now there's a fucking reason for this, because that's a daily fair value gap. Imagine you took, we see this gap up. This is a daily gap that never got filled. And then we see this high get swept right here. So that means that our stop loss is going to be over this high. Now we are figuring shit out on the fly that is so genius, because we are just freestyling this, because we are an artist, all right? And we are painting. We are not trading, yo. We are fucking doing splat painting right now. And we are a Mozart. So what do we get right here? Don't tell me this was that one fucking move. Oh, are we maximizing the shit out of it? Fair value gap, order block. Look how paired they are perfectly. Sweep of a daily high. Clean as a goddamn motherfucker. Watch this. Now we're gonna see what happens if we just wanna say fuck it. We wanna try to pull off a long shot. in the contracts, because we still want to risk like 500, 430. You know what? Since this is the long shot, we'll do 645. Why? Because if we do this, we're only going to be able to get a 1-to-1. If we do 3 contracts, we can at least take off at multiple spots. Or let's not be pussy. We know we're going to get the 1-to-1. So let's risk $360 more. Let's just say we're trading $1,000 comfortably. All right? And we don't mind. But we still, we mind enough to have some risk management up in here. All right? So we got to sell and we got to sell. So we got a 1-to-1 regardless. And now we're just trading one contract at break even, immediately at break even. Damn near. What is this? Fucking, we enter in at 9:45. So by 10:15, which is about 45 minutes, we're at break even. So now we can target this gap right here. That's the first thing, is this Asia low. No, the Asia low actually, because we still got the gap we need to rebalance, and we're taking out a daily high, and we could tell that this is gonna work because not only is that daily high, we have a PM Asia London consolidation. London sweeps the PM in Asia, then New York sweeps London, which swept the daily high. So now the high that swept the high is getting swept. And we have a clean fair value gap on a higher time frame, on a 15-minute order block with the fair value gap. We get out with the 1-to-1. So now we're risking no money at all. And we're just watching this shit go lot-da-da-da-da all the way down to this first low. And then we have the rest of the gap that did not get taken out. So then we go through a lot of withdrawal, but we never take out that initial high. It gets close, but we never take it out. Maybe we had an S&T over there, who knows? But you've already taken now. You have already secured 1,500, another $430. So I didn't even do the math all the way. I just rounded that. So 1,500, that's even less, plus $430, plus, now, hold up. No matter what, you have just made $1,900. And you are only risking now $215 to make $2,000. So now you have already secured $2,000. And yes, we had to deal with this crazy withdrawal. But now 2,274 divided by 215. Now you got a 10-to-1 on one contract. One contract you're getting a times 10 on. And you've already secured 2,000 and you're only risking $215 now. Because all the other ones deleted. This one's gone, yo. So now this is all you got, is this one contract, yo. And it's over this low or whatever. So now you take out that low. By the time you take out this low, you've already secured $400, $2,000 now. Now you're up $1,900 already. Then you go down. How much withdrawal? Really, no withdrawal. Then if this is withdrawal, you're just watching. This is what this is gonna look like. It's gonna look like you had $1,000 right there that you could just go ahead and take 1,800 right there. Take both of them off. Why not? And just in the gap. But, or no, take both of them off at this Asia low. So then you could have already been up 1,500 plus 1,900. So, or you go through this withdrawal, and now you see you almost lose all of the money, but you've already secured 2 bands and you're only risking $222. So it's like risk the $222, you come into a negative 193, but you never gave up on the algorithm and your stop loss. You could have got out at break even if you wanted. But you said, I'm gonna keep that risk on for that motherfucker because it's $200 at risk and this gap still has to be refilled. So now we could take it off here to be safe because this gap hasn't got filled. Watch it come all the way back down there, smash into that, guaranteed profit. You managed it, or you could wait for it to fill the whole gap like you were going to and get all your money. And then really, if you pull from a low in equilibrium, or maybe even Fibonacci, whichever one you want to do. I say equilibrium because equilibrium's right here. So now we really could fill the gap, or we could just send a buster over here for another 3 bands. Now we made $5,000, but we made $3,000 off of 200. Ooh, this shit I had sliding around. That's the stop loss. It's $211. So now we're risking $211. We've already secured $2,000. So what are we're gonna be up like $1,700 even if that hits the stop loss. But instead of us losing $200 more, we now have made, holding to a low in equilibrium of this huge range that is just here, undeniable low to high equilibrium. Same thing that I do on a fractal sense, but higher probability now that it's higher time frame. And now we've made $200 turn into $3,000. And all we had to do was sit on our fucking ass, bro. This was on a Tuesday. And then we didn't do shit until motherfucking Friday. So we got in at the highest day of the week, which is usually a Tuesday or a Monday, but Wednesday at the latest. So knowing it's on a Tuesday, we got in after it left this huge gap, and we're taking out daily highs over here that I didn't even mark up. And that's because this move actually goes on so long that let's delete all this move down here, because we don't even have to get into these moves down here. You know why? Because this move was going by so long. If we go to a daily and we look at a daily reversal and we try to make some sense on the Fibonacci projections, well, order block, Fibonacci, we're entering at this very high because we see this gap. The gap and then the sweep of the high tells us a huge reversal is about to happen. So now we see that double this range. So yo, we got in at the top of this. This is called a top tick. This is shit that you really don't look for unless you somehow are fly as fuck and you just master your jab. Literally, you come in this bitch. We've already closed right here. Now we almost get stopped out, but we're only risking $200. We're waiting for this whole gap. Once that gap is filled, that gap is now inversed. So now we've inversed the gap. These are all down close candles. We pull back into the rest of this fair value gap in OTE, which is a low getting swept in OTE, and a lower low, which just gives us a sign that this is continuing bullish order flow on the daily. Now we're just like looking at the shit like, who knows what the fuck is gonna happen? We're already up like a bitch, and we're leaving one contract for one fucking contract. And guess what? It comes all the way. Well, you could really take it down to this order block, because it's always going to draw into an order block for sure. But what if you took it down to this second order block, the main bottom one? That's not the main one. It starts right here. But we just took out this high. Then you made it there. But what if you just said, fuck it, we're going to take out this low. And you know why we're going to take out this low? Because we gapped up and we swept this. And you know what? We can maybe make more sense of this. All right, the weekly inverse this, closing bearish for the week. We never break bullish structure at all on the weekly. We got in at the very top of this high. So now we know that it's probably just going to target this low, because now that it's a weekly, it looks like an hourly. And an hourly that wouldn't be crazy, right? It'd be a couple points. But on a weekly, that same shit is now a one contract for $211, making a complete $5,000 return on the investment. So what is that? 5,262 divided by 211. It's my sister's calculator. Now we just made a 24-1. And we couldn't even get a 3-1 consistently. But now we can get a 1-1 consistently. So now we can get already secure $2,000. So we already won the move. Even if we hit the stop loss. We are happy as a bitch on this last contract. Because we already took off 3 contracts. In the stackies. Only risking $500 initially. Taking half of that off, now risking only $250, getting another contract off, and now we are only risking 1 motherfucking contract. And dude, to be fair with you, how do you know how far it's gonna go? We'll really measure from equilibrium of this whole entire range, because just because it's a fucking a weekly doesn't mean the algorithm is gonna reprice. Because look at how much displacement this was. I bet we're gonna draw down to this fair value gap right now. That is my guess, because we've been breaking structure. We broke a low. You never know what is going to happen. You really never know what's going to happen. But if I would have, we would have made it all the way down. I'm trying to figure out why we probably are still going to keep on coming. We probably just closed for the week unless we're turning around now. Now we got to go to a daily of this range. Now we look at the daily and we see why. We have a down close candle right here. We have a down close candle right here. This low we're targeting, but these are all up close candles. So you could really take it to write this first down close candle, 5,000. Second down close candle, 6,000. And honestly, on the daily, it's still bearish. Even though that doji closed up, it honestly is just pulling up to a fair value gap aligned with a series of up close candles, which means that this is dipping into this, kind of like how when we dip in at the very top of a daily high and we see this on a 5 or 15 minute, but now we're seeing it on a daily. Just to let us know that we can keep on holding because we have a fair value gap in an order block, and then we still have equilibrium of this range to reprice. So we really got to take it out at a low in equilibrium. We're really going to come down here, taking out on a low. There's no lows on the weekly, but on the daily, there's a low right here in equilibrium or this one. Now you've turned $200 into $8,000 plus your original $2,000, but you made more on one contract than you made on 5 now. But your risk to reward was so fucking genius. You would have to just be like, fuck it. Let me always leave one runner on a crazy sweep of a daily high when we see displacement. And then we have a draw. We are just leaving one more rock star. We already made 2,000. That 2,000 could have been 200,000, and this 8,000 could have been 80,000 or 800,000, or no, 8 million. One contract, but we'd have to do more now. So let's say that we have risked 10 contracts. So eventually the one contract is going to be 10 contracts to us. We're going to be like, oh yeah, I'm only risking 10 contracts. That's only 2,000. We've already pocketed 2,000 in this move. So now if we left this out here for an $86,000 run, which already cleared $70,000, risking $2,000 to make $70,000 now, or $2,000 even to risk to make this $52,000, which we could have already secured, or that $2,000 just to make fucking $24,000. And fast as fuck, yo. Now you are a master because you mastered the one-to-one daily highs, knowing when they're. And let me see something real quick. let me see something real quick. Because if we have an SMT, that basically told us that this move was gonna happen. We got all these trades over here. That same high got respected. Neither of that high. So when that high took out both of these, it took out both of them on both indexes. They both had a huge gap. But the thing is, NASDAQ took out this high right here, this low. Probably because it's more volatile, because it's more crazy. The SP 500 is SMTing with this low. So we took the low out right here. Now we have an SMT. Now we kind of have a reason to say, you know what? If we entered on NASDAQ, good for us. Maybe the SP 500 is going to catch up. But with this SMT in an order block, and then this order block is in OTE of this range, which is daily order flow enough, sweeping a low, hitting an order block, but there's no fair value gap. But there's a fair value gap right here. And we just pulled back to OTE of a daily range right here. And we damn near pulled back to equilibrium of a fucking weekly range over here. And we might still keep on going. But dude, you just made $24,000 fucking dollars already. Why are you still wanting to hold on to the fucking move? When you're a fucking, and that's 24 on one take profit. You had 2 part take profit exits to secure break even, however fat that was, in the other one. So now, but you fucking are a fucking risk management god. And so come on now. How are you so genius? The genius of all geniuses. This is free game right here. And I'm gonna make this video on a regular camera setup now and make it make not 42 minutes. And I'm going to master taking crazy daily high setups. So I'm basically gonna take a 1-to-1 every day. Because I know, well, whenever a daily high and a daily low is swept, always gonna take a 1-to-1. No matter what, we're gonna put some money in our pocket every day. That a daily high or a daily low is swept. Just to build up faster. And then we're gonna just start taking full fucking sins, yo. I mean, we're gonna know exactly why is this a full sin. Well, this market is fucking exhausted, yo. I mean, dude, it makes a big ass run, and then it does some full sin shit for like a fucking good period. It makes a big ass run, so you know once it starts consolidating, basically, after the big ass run, when we start breaking lows, when we basically come back to equilibrium, you feel me? That's a quarter of the move, I think. That is a hack. I just made that up. So now we're at equilibrium of this move. We're going to pull to equilibrium of equilibrium. You know where I just got inspired from that theory? From the RTH gap. Because you know how the RTH gap is split into quarters? So now this is a 25% of this range. So now we're just shorting to 25% of a daily range. Not equilibrium, because that shit is fat. So now we come up here, we put the equilibrium, then we put the equilibrium at equilibrium. And now what did we do again? Even this almost shorted to a quarter of the range. But definitely, NASDAQ, our wild, volatile friend. So yeah, we definitely shorted to a quarter of that. Easily as hell. But yo, this is the thing, we're consolidating right here. We have a low right there. I think we're going to go lower. I barely filmed that probably. I'm going to post this whole shit on YouTube still. Because it was such quality content from a genius who is just like you. Dead ass. Who is smart as fuck and a genius and brilliant and can do anything through God. And whatever we put our mind to. And I was a fucking tweaker on meth. Smoking fucking meth. And now I'm going to be making $50,000 every single day. Molly, cocaine, acid, shrooms. Now I'm sober. And whenever I hit weed on accident, when I try not to, for 2 weeks, I smoke the fucking weed and I have breakthroughs now. So now, and then I smoked some bad weed and I learned all this. Then I went and I bought some $45 weed for the first time. I smoked a nickel I had in there. I usually buy $30 weed. Now I smoked $45 weed. And I just learned how to fucking swing trade. I smoked a nickel and I learned how to scalp. I smoked a $45 eighth and I learned how to swing trade. And I've been staying sober and meditating and grinding and breathing and trying to stay calm a majority of my time. And then so when I get high, I break my reality in a quantum shift and I leap further. Instead of getting high every day, slowing myself down, spending my money, now I build studios and I buy boxing shoes and wraps. And I study. And then I smoke a $45 eighth because I haven't spent any money on weed. So I even upgrade the weed, not from this $30 weed that I started buying, and not this nickel weed that I have in here for emergencies, because I know I don't care to smoke the nickel weed. But now I have fire ass $45 weed. And I just made a 46-minute video about how to make $40 fucking million, yo. And I got a fridge full of chicken that I get from a food drive. My fridge is filled the fuck up. And I just get my food out of food drive. And I got my EBT today. So I got a little bit of here's and there's. But yes, master manifester, master manipulator, master chaos, disaster, manipulator, understander, perceiver, transmuter, confusion, decisioner, mask maker, manipulator, answerer. Manifester. So now what? So now you ready to see what it's like to be so rich that you don't know how to fucking act anymore? That you need to take your ass to your grandma's house. Because you are broke right now. But you have a grandma. But you are gonna finish this lease. And you're gonna make maybe a couple bucks. Hopefully. We're gonna go one more month paper. We're not even gonna use real money. Once again. Just to make sure that this shit works. And master it even better and deeper and deeper. And then, when your lease ends, you're gonna go to your grandma's house. And you're not gonna be in New York City anymore. You're gonna be in Nashville, going to a more expensive boxing gym. Because that's what we have available. It's about double the price. But guess what? You're gonna have so much money and a job as a dishwasher always in Nashville. So, you're gonna go to your grandma's house and you're gonna make so much fucking money with her. And she's not even gonna believe what the fuck she started. It's gonna be a fucking miracle. And you're gonna leave all this New York bullshit behind, all these beautiful women, because you are not about beautiful women right now. You are about being with your grandma in your hometown now that you understand profitability. And on a crazy aspect. So take your already wealthy through love and Jesus Christ, love, and your family, and your health. Back to Tennessee. Get you a lot. No, you don't need a lot of weed. You just need to bring a little bit of weed back because you're going to stay sober and you're on antidepressants now. So you don't even need the drugs. But you're going to bring back just a little bit of quality weed selection. Put it in the freezer. Out of your dad's way. So he doesn't have to see no goddamn weed in the freezer. Out of your grandma's way. And you're going to not even smoke the weed. But you're going to have the best weed in your grandma's freezer. And you're going to fucking run it up. So much. And you're going to be at home and you're not going to live in New York City. And you're going to be able to act a damn fool at your grandma's house. In her mobile home. In Paris, Tennessee. And all the neighbors are going to think you are fucking crazy. If they hear you talking to yourself, which they won't. And it'll be quiet. And you will be peaceful. And you will see that one little homie who you gave a guitar to. And you will see his ass, and you'll probably teach his ass how to get rich. Before he gets out of middle school or high school. Whichever one he's in, I think he's probably in high school. So you're going to make him a fucking millionaire. Before he even gets to his senior year or graduates. You're going to teach your uncle this shit. One-on-one. If your dad can, wants to learn, he doesn't gotta learn. I mean, he got to be a granddad. Alright? He just got to be rich now off of me and his VA. His VA money is all going for the grandchildren's now. He doesn't have to live off of any of his shit. That's grandchildren money. That's grandma hair money now. That's pocket lint. He done raised a motherfucking disciplined ass fucking stoic. So now he gets the benefit from him being a soldier and beating my fucking ass. And my grandma gets the benefit just because I'm back at the fucking crib and she just wants to fucking hang out. And you get to be near your sister. And LJ is gonna have, this was his first Christmas. He's gonna have his craziest Christmas ever! Every fucking year! If he's good. Which he will be. And Jody.